a great surprise.
Look at his hair. I haven't seen him before. No, that is. His hair. I know. I haven't seen his hair. I definitely haven't seen it now.
No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. This door is open. This door right here, this door is open for you. This door is open to you. This door is open. I'm talking about this door. This door is open. I said this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white or gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Good morning. So nice to have you here with us today. At the beginning of this, I would like to ask if there's anyone here who would be uncomfortable if I took my mask off while I'm up here in the pulpit. If you would be uneasy with that, please raise your hand. Well, thank you very much. This is a church built on covenant, not creed. In the words of Ferenc Davida, you can hear his name pronounced a zillion different ways if you look at different spots on the internet. We call him Francis David. We need not think alike to love alike. We don't have to agree on things about pretty much anything in order to have compassion for the world and try to live that love out. So, here in this sanctuary of ancient dreams and wisdom and beauty, we come to grow, to be healed, to stretch mind and heart, to be challenged, renewed, to be helped in our continuing struggles for meaning and for love, to help build a world with more justice and mercy in it, to be counted among the hopers and doers. To that end, we endeavor to treat respectfully people with differing paths and opinions. It's not easy all the time, but it is our challenge and it is our covenant. So whoever you are, whatever your age, race, origin, orientation, background, status, ability, identity, if you care to be here with us, you are welcome. We front load the service with a little bit of information. We're going to begin trying to whittle that down a little bit from what it has been since we started our Zoom congregational meetings. But I would like to invite our board member, Rovina Windsor, to share some announcements with us, please.
Online, we have a lot of information. I'm not going to go over all of it. I love the number 3, so I'm going to give you 3 things. This is a new month, so we have a new volunteer of the month for August is Amanda Lawrence. If you know Amanda, I don't need to tell you why she's volunteer of the month. You already know. If you don't know her, she's probably someone you want to get to know. The second thing is next Saturday is Building and Grounds Day. We need all the people who can be here to do that. This is our building, and we want to give it the love we give each other. The third thing is next Sunday, we're having a special congregational meeting. This is a critical meeting. The amendments are on the line. Please read them. If you have any questions, contact a board member. We'll be more than glad to discuss your concerns. We're not changing anything. We're just bringing the language of our governing documents into line with what the IRS now requires us to do. But in order to do that, we must have a quorum. And we're working under IRS deadline, so next Sunday, we really need everyone to be here either in person or on Zoom. And if there's any questions, as I said, any board member would be glad to help you. Thank you.
And I'm going to be quick, too. I just wanted to tell you that the children and youth will be in the social hall today. They're doing some cool nature print shirts, and so they've been in the classrooms, and so those rooms are closed off. So if everybody heads to the social hall when it's time, that'll be great. Also wanted to remind you that coming up on August the 20th is a workshop with Gary Renard. He is a best-selling author and a teacher and interpreter of the Course on Miracles, and I know we do have a Course in Miracles group that meets here on Sunday afternoons, and so if any of our own members are interested as well, by all means, register for the workshop. You can attend in person or on Zoom, and that's all I got today. Thank you for being here.
Let yourself settle into this pew and let it hold you. Try to relax and let yourself be here. If your mind starts to wander to worries, see if you can bring them back to the window. It's not that hard to do. But let us, in the Old English definition of the word, worship together, meaning to elevate and contemplate matters of worth. James Luther Adams, who was the foremost Unitarian Universalist, maybe, theologian in the 20th century, I'm not sure he lived to be a Unitarian Universalist. But he was a Unitarian theologian and was the most prominent in our tradition for the 20th century. He wrote, "I call that church free, which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence, that sustaining and transforming power, not made with human hands." Viola Abbott wrote, "We are here today because we are mindful of the past and because we have hope for the future. We want the practice of this faith to be a fulfilling manifestation of its promise. Open our hearts Seek new ways of understanding, and let us worship together. Each of us has the power to bless another and to bless the world. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Do I have anyone who would like to lead the first part of our chalice lighting this morning?
We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other.
Thank you. Miss Susan, would you accompany us on the first verse of Gather the Spirit? We can remain seated. Gather the Spirit, harvest the pound. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. Would you please rise in body or spirit and say the unison affirmation with us as you will. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. Our hymn is Now Let Us Sing. The words will be up here. It has two parts. I'm trying to keep it in everybody's range as much as possible. I don't know that that works, though. So the first part is, we got there.
Thank you. Is it working today? So, I want you to think for a minute about power. And this includes the kids. I want you to think, where do you have power? What kind of power do you have? Yeah, Jackson. Standing up, yeah, that is. That is a power that you have. What about the choices in your life? What kind of power do you have there? Standing up for justice, standing up for, yeah, absolutely. You do have that power. And what about, where have you used your power with others? Can you think of times you may have done that? You sure you can't think of any times you may have done that? What about you, Ava? Times that you've used your power with others. Playing tug of war is a good one. That's right. Well, I can remember a time when you planned a party when we were still all online. You planned a party for the children and youth who were coming to religious education. And you planned a lot of the things that you wanted to do, but you also asked the others. You also got input from the other people who were there. And so everyone there kind of got to play a game that they wanted or do a thing that they wanted to do. But you used your power together to create this great kind of fun thing. Power can be used for really important things, and some of those really important things can be really important fun things. But I want the grown-ups too to think about, when have you used your power in concert with others to make change? When have you done that? With Interfaith, yeah, with our partners in North Louisiana Interfaith, we've worked together on any number of issues. We've worked to make more of our tax money go to the things that we need, like schools and services, roads and bridges, and less to corporations. And we've worked together on that and have made some progress on that in the state. Where else have we used our power with others? Yeah. Say it again. They work for us. We can go and talk to them. We can make appointments. We can go to city council meetings, which are not always at the most convenient time, right, for people that have jobs or go to school. But we can do that. We can make our voices heard. Interfaith is a part of that. Interfaith says there are two kinds of power. There's organized money, and we know that there's a lot of that, and we know that organized money exercises a lot of power. Then there are also organized people who put their money and their efforts together, just the way Ava did when she planned that party with those other people. We can do important things when we work together with others, when we work together with other congregations. We are small, and we can still be mighty when we work with others for the good of everyone. We can use our power. There's a quote, I think it's from Marianne Williamson, said, well, it's not that I'm going to get it wrong, but it's not that we feel helpless, it's that we are almost afraid of how powerful we are. And I think we don't need to be afraid of how powerful we are, especially in these times. We need to be willing to use our power and to use our power with others and work together. And that is my message today for all of us to be reminded. That, as Dorothy Day said, there's no time to sit around and be hopeless. There's too much to do. So we have power. Let's use it. And let's sing the children and youth to the social hall. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
From William Ellery Channing, who was another prominent early Unitarian. I call that mind free, which masters the senses and which recognizes its own reality and greatness, which passes life not in asking what it shall eat or drink, but in hungering, thirsting, and seeking after righteousness. I call that mind free, which jealously guards its intellectual rights and powers, which does not content itself with a passive or hereditary faith, which opens itself to light whencesoever it may come, which receives new truth as an angel from heaven. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "I am constrained every moment to acknowledge a higher origin of events than the will I call mine. There is deep power in which we exist and whose beatitude is accessible to us. Every moment when the individual feels invaded by it is memorable. It comes to that lowly and simple. It comes to whosoever will put off what is foreign and proud. It comes as insight. It comes as serenity and grandeur. The soul's health consists in the fullness of its reception. Forever and ever, the influx of this better and more universal self is new and unsearchable. Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal, one. When it breaks through our intellect, it is genius. When it breathes through our will, it is virtue. And when it flows through our affections, it is love." The music today, after our moment of silence, is long. But it's performed by 12,000 siblings from 154 nations and 257 languages. It's people who have something in common, working together across their differences. So I invite you to enjoy it. But first, take a little time to feel your own power. You're welcome if you would like to come light a candle for any concern or thing for which you're grateful as we begin the music.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you. Be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Dios te guarde, penghuni kau makan baita, aku wanirenya mengakami seu rosto ku baca.
You don't have to answer this, but how many of you had kind of knee-jerk responses to different things in that? If it were any other tradition, would that be true? Just a question. Like I said, there was people that had one thing in common, and it may not even be identical from group to group, but something they held together that they worked together on, and that particular piece was released March 1st of 2020, just a few days before the world began its lockdown. And I'm sure that for that reason, it gave even more encouragement to all of the people that were a part of it. Anyhow, I want you to consider which of these things, these phrases I'm about to share, as they go by, you think about positively and which ones you think about negatively, okay? I'm just going to rattle through a bunch of them. Drunk with power, balance of power, seat of power, flower power, girl power, black power, solar power, wind power, nuclear power, powerhouse, PowerPoint, power of 10, power hitter, power play, power lunch, power nap, power trip, power tool, power over, power to, lust for power, money is power, knowledge is power, staying power, powering up, powering down, power to the people, power of persuasion, speak truth to power, the powers that be, more power to you, and absolute power. Now, is there a chance that your relationship and response to each phrase is contingent in some way upon who and what we picture as they go by? I asked you to notice the charge each one had for you, and I don't know that it would have had one necessarily nearly as strong if I hadn't asked you that, but isn't it likely that it would have had that charge even if you hadn't noticed it, to some extent? Or would they simply be phrases and have absolutely no effect on you? Do we know ourselves well enough to answer that? I'm aware that something other than detached awareness goes on inside me when I see or hear each of these idioms. And there's power in that. Whether it's giving me power in my judgment and evaluation or taking power because of the energy it extracts. There are really only 2 or 3 points I want to offer this morning. The first is this. I think many of us are giving away a great deal of our power. What comes to mind for me is that familiar old Mark Twain saying that I've had a lot of worries in my life, but most of them which never happened. We are affected in ways that we may not really notice by all sorts of things. some absolutely within our power, and others over which we have no control. The result being that our energy gets tapped out to a greater extent than it would otherwise, and we have less to spend doing what we might for good. Last night, a friend said, if it's not one thing, it's another. From Ukraine and COVID-19 to China and monkeypox. If and when we are able to take in what we hear and be mindful of our response, we have a choice we can make. We can save ourselves a good bit of stress, weariness, and escalating sense of powerlessness. And mindful awareness is not apathy. It's not asking us not to care or to do something about what we see. It's not something we trade for our passion and compassion. Noticing what is, as it is, may not keep us from getting exhausted, but it will definitely keep us from feeling powerless or giving away the power we have. At the beginning of the current era, the Roman philosopher Seneca wrote, most powerful is he, and the gender stuff is from switching from AD to CE, but most powerful is he, no, BC to AD. BC to CE. Most powerful is he who himself is his, has himself in his own power. I don't know that I'm any good at that. But we can choose not to throw away power while also not just looking away or pretending the problems aren't there, because we just can't take anymore. Once again, and I think I mentioned it last week, as a person in recovery, I think of the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Now, I don't know what you might think of Tony Robbins, but the guy did write a book titled Unlimited Power. He suggests that we identify problems, but give our energy and power to solutions. It's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? If knowledge is power, then perhaps knowing what we don't know is wisdom. That's why we need each other. Which brings me to the second point of this morning, and what Ms. Susan was talking about earlier. In Interfaith, North Louisiana Interfaith, which is an industrial areas foundation affiliation, Saul Alinsky, and a certain model for organizing that started quite some time back. The definition of power is the ability to act. Now, there are some branches of those affiliates that add some other descriptions in there. But our best options for building power to affect at least a good many of the issues we care about comes, though certainly not all of them, that comes by throwing our efforts in with other organizations. We're a small church. If we want to actually build power, we need to make collaboration with other people. We do that pretty well through Northern and Central Louisiana Interfaith, or North Louisiana Interfaith. There's more power available to us than we think. If we first stop the leaks in our own fields of energy and power, we will have more of our own power and energy to share. Then, after discerning among ourselves what issues we really do care about, we can take those to people who might share those concerns, groups that might share those concerns, organizations that have the same concerns, and build the power to act and actually affect some change. We can purposefully join with others to work on those issues and circumstances that matter a great deal to us. Margaret Wheatley, who writes many books on leadership, said, "There is no greater power than a community discovering what it cares about." I'm sure there's a divergence of primary concerns in this room. If you had to rank them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, what you would choose as your priority, where you would first put your energy, would probably be different than some of the other people in this room. But if we find, maybe through ranked voting, the things that we care about in common and care enough to invest some energy in, we are already building power. That's not easy in a diverse congregation. It's not easy in aging communities. But as we continue to combine forces and insights and resources with others beyond our own small group, we can once again become the shining beacon for justice that All Souls has through time been in this community. The biggest churches around knew who we were. I think they still do. I don't know that they feel threatened by us anymore. And some of the agendas might need to, or at least be wary of making blanket assumptions. The last point is this. I truly believe that we are, to quote Dr. King, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, a single garment of destiny. We might call it a web of existence. We might call it the sum that is greater than its parts. We each experience it in our own ways, define it with our own words. My experience shows me, or leads me to believe, that choosing to open and welcome Chi, the life force, the source, Spirit, God, or endeavor to pay attention and cooperate with it, be in the flow, be here now, we are made stronger. We find synchronicity, Power is a flow. It starts someplace and it moves, whether it's electric power, wind power, nuclear power, human power, the influence of anything, it's a flow. And if that gets bogged down because we're holding on to something or resisting something too tightly, the flow stops. You're flipping the switch. No matter what the power is. In the synchronicity that is available to us, there is actually time saved, energy focused, power generated, and in that there is noticeable sense of freedom. A best-selling author and founder of Doubleday Currency, Harriet Rubin, wrote that freedom is actually a bigger game than power. Power is about what you can control, and freedom is about what you can unleash. Let's work on sealing our leaks. Let's work on identifying what we care about together. And let's work on collaborating with people who might share one common idea with us, with whom we can build massive power to effect change. Our closing hymn is Come and Go With Me. I will invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing it with us, please. Did you wake up now? Go ahead and sit back down, Jennifer. From William Wordsworth, I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts. A sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns. From Tom Shade, a Unitarian Universalist minister, my friends, there is a power at work in the universe. It works through human hands, but is not made by human hands. It is a creative, sustaining, and transforming power, and we can trust that power with our lives. It will sustain us whenever we take a stand on the side of love, whenever we take a stand for peace and justice, whenever we take a risk. Jimi Hendrix said, "When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace." So, in the words of another Unitarian Universalist minister, Mark Bellatini, live gently at home in yourselves. Act justly, speak justly, remember the depth of your own compassion, and forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. The blessing of truth be upon us all. The power of love direct us and sustain us. And may the peace of this community and the love that transcends all of it preserve our going out and coming in, and from here until we meet again. Amen. Blessed be. Namaste. Ashe. So be it.